Thank you all for coming here today. I thought we'd just try something different. The main incentive is about the parking. I was thinking we were running out of parking at Boulevard Realty on these Tuesdays, so we're going to try a couple of these other locations. My backup plan is to just start having them at the fire station at 12th and Yale, because there is ample parking there. I just didn't know. The acoustics are not great there. We're working on a plan to make the meetings where you could hear better, but in the interim, I thought we'd try this. We might try the public library. We might try a few of these other spaces, the United Way, just to kind of see and get exposure or something. So this building is owned by Laith Dyke of Texas Lone Star. He'll probably come up. I'll introduce you to him. He used to office at 1533 Heights Boulevard, a building I sold him. And then he just built this. They had Rowan Wright was the builder. That's the builder of our Bell Heights building there at 18th and Ashland or whatever. And our host today really is Texas American Title and Jesse Soto. And Jesse might come by. They provided some pens and papers if you need, and some refreshments if you need. They are having a class that I just want to recognize again on April 16th about the new disclosure forms. And we're going to have plenty of classes. As realtors, you're going to get this plenty of exposure, so I'm not going to go over it today. But the new forms and disclosures go into effect August 1. Lots of time between now and August 1 or whatever. And basically what's happening is the disclosures are changing. That's probably the biggest thing. So instead of having a good faith estimate, you're going to have a loan estimate, and it's going to look more like this. There's going to be a standardized form again. So the good faith estimate is changing, and then the truth in lending and the HUD statements are changing again also, and we're going to be renaming them the closing disclosures. So I'm not going to go over them today. We are going to have a class on April 28th at Boulevard Realty specifically about these and the changes that are going into place. But many title companies and mortgage companies are going to have these classes, and Texas American here is having one on April 16th. If you want to go, they'll be explaining all of those sort of things. We'll have plenty of reviews before they go into effect. They're still modifying a few more things. You know, the federal government, they're going to tinker with it till the very end. Could be another delay. It's been delayed several times. This is still part of the mortgage reform from 2008, having to do with the Frank Dodd Act. So they take their time over here making changes. But I'm not going to go over that today or whatever.
MCE
I don't know that they're really giving MCE over this yet. I mean, they might later or whatever. But there are ample opportunities for some continuing.
There is one on April 15th by someone else. There's a flyer on the bar that is MCE.
Yeah, I don't know that they can really give MCE for this HUD disclosure yet, but I think they need to tie in some other MCE and go over this, so it hasn't been approved yet. Okay, just want to primarily go over the first quarter. I mean, we're through the first quarter of 2015. We talked with this premise at the annual sales meeting in January. I think much of what we're talking about is going into play. I mean, I think I've been fairly accurate, but I want to be even more clear so that you have a very good understanding. The state of the inner city single family housing market is still very good, okay? And it's all based on location and the price point. I was a little disappointed when the sales numbers for March came out. I think HAR is being a little more positive than they probably should be. I think we need a cautious reserve with regards to sales and how it works. So in the press release for HAR and what came out in the Chronicle and the Business Journal was that, you know, February, March's number, there was a bump back up and sales were still very, very, very strong. And it's true, the number of sales was better. The amount of inventory allowed for more houses to be sold. We had pent up demand, people that want to buy a house and not enough houses. They tried to buy a house and couldn't, so there's still these people waiting in the wings to buy a house over here. And it causes, when more houses come on the market, of course you're going to have more sales. Just like 2 years ago, when there's fewer houses on the market, there's no way the sales can go up, right? If you sold 10 last year and there's only 9 for sale this year, there's no way you can have an increase. Well, the reverse of that is also true. When the amount of inventory escalates, then you can have more sales. But let's be real clear. We're just in the beginning of what is this curve, and the curve is heading to some problems in the real estate market that you need to be aware of. So when you look at the general sales, and I take single family homes only at the moment. Stay here for just a moment. And you talk about area 9, the number of sales in March of 2015 were literally down. They went down from 234 from 249. So the number of sales were down. Price per square foot was virtually about the same, okay? But the inventory, area 9, single family houses, last year, okay, best year in the history of real estate, was 559 houses. This year, the amount of inventory right now, March to March, 1,032, an increase of almost 100% in the amount of inventory. So the month of inventory, when you glance at it, was at 2.3 months last year. This year it's at 4.3, double the amount of inventory. Now we're just getting started over here, folks, in the curve, okay? So as the inventory increases, now the balance is still probably at 6 months for the single family housing market. So the reality is there's still stress over here, and there's still going to be bidding wars in the $400,000 price range, and bidding wars at the $600,000 price range, and bidding wars in the $800,000 price range for single family houses on lots 5,000 square feet or greater. All that's virtually true. Prices really didn't increase too much, okay? Area 16, number of sales decreased again, okay? Instead of having 90 sales, we only had 72 sales, okay? But the amount of inventory was 300 last year and is 457 this year. 50% increase in the number of active listings or whatever. So the inventory number goes from 3.3 to 5.1, okay? There again, about a 60% increase of that little deal. You go to area 17, they did have a slight increase in sales from 91 to 105, but their inventory went from basically about the same, 2.1 months to 3.8, almost 100% increase of the inventory. So you see what's happening. Sales are going up because there's more houses for sale. There's going to be more houses for sale. You keep adding more and more and more houses for sale, soon the softening of the market will hit you over here, okay? So I'm just telling you, and we're going to talk about this so that you can leave here with a very good understanding how this is going to work over here. It is going to get softer in the single family housing market. In the middle of the summer, it is going to be very soft over here.
It's a buyer's market. So
It's the
basically
pendulum
these
is
are
shifting. Pendulum is shifting. These
Sellers.
sellers need to get a lot more realistic. And like what we talked about, the disparity between the list price and the sales price is going to increase so greatly over here. It's not going to be at 99%. It's not going to be at 98%. And the days on the market aren't going to be 30 or 50. They're going to be 200. And they're going to, it's going to bump up so significantly over here. So then when you just glance at, let's just talk about the townhouse market for just a second here. And you could go and you could say, all right. Now, I'm pretty pessimistic. I believe the single-family housing market inside the loop on a single lot is going to do just fine. I think it's going to be balanced back the way it was in 2001, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay? It's going to be balanced though. These sellers are not going to be able to screw every buyer over here. Okay? It's going to be a balance. And the balance means there's give and take on both sides. Okay? And I think it's going to be fine. I don't want you to walk out of here and say, Bill says it's going to hell. I'm just telling you it's going to balance, and we haven't had balance in 2.5 years.
And balance equals hell.
Yeah. Balance can mean, it means the art of negotiation again.
No, I'm kidding. Balance equals bad.
Okay, not to question what you're saying, but last week you told me that
No.
this summer it was gonna be a bloodbath.
Okay, no, now stop just a second. I just said single-family houses on single lots in the middle of a nice section are going to be fine. Okay.
Right.
Now start over. Now let me regroup. Subdivided lots, things that are townhouses, things that are 33 feet wide and 37 feet wide and 25 feet wide and 3 stories and connected and no backyard, not in a great location, west over there and at 27th Street and across Airline and 14 and a half and Kansas and on the railroad track and in Southgate and on Bissonnette and, all right, let's just look here a second. Okay, townhouse thing, just mark, it's gonna get worse. It's gonna get worse. It's gonna get a lot worse. Okay? Price per square foot went down, okay? Declining price per square foot of what's sold. The number of sales increased also in townhouses, and they misled the people to say townhouse market up 14%. That's what the headline was, okay? What's the number of sales? Yes, okay, so from 25 to 29, we had an increase. Maybe we could find something positive in that. The price per square foot decreased.
Does that include the incentives that they're throwing at people?
Well, it could be either in the reduction or no. This is also the false deal. If
Yeah.
they're giving them $10,000 for a
Right.
refrigerator, $10,000
It's
for
not
shutters,
fair.
and
That's-
$10,000 for
Exactly.
closing costs, they're artificially inflating the price per square foot,
Yeah.
which is still declining.
Right,
It's still declining.
should be more
Okay?
down.
It's still declining. Price per square foot declined, okay? Number of listings went from 71 to 122, so you go from 2.4 months to 3.7 months. And just telling you, we only are seeing fractional amount of listings on the MLS. If Urban Living has 16 units, they've only got 2 of them on there, remember? I got the project on Wakefield, they got 17, they've got 2 on there. Fisher Homes has a project with 38, they've got 3 on there. The inventory is not an accurate reflection of what's going on out there. So, it's, everything indicator tells me that it's getting worse, okay? Take area 16, same thing. The number of listings went from 151 to 240. The amount of inventory went from 1.4 to 2.8, 100% greater than it was. And the price per square foot virtually stayed the same while the number of sales declined, okay? In Montford, area 16, number of sales declined from 94 to 75. That was almost a 30% decrease in that section over there, okay? There aren't that many in area 17, but we're really talking about Benz, we're talking about Southmore, you're talking about these areas over there. Same thing, they had virtually the same number of sales, and the price virtually stayed the same.
The construction's high.
But the number of listings went up, and the amount of inventory went up, and the price per square foot declined again. And in that market, we're still talking area 17, the average sale was $233,000. We're not talking about the $700,000 townhouses, or the $800,000 townhouses, or the $900,000 townhouses. We're talking about $253,000. It was the average price of what sold. The median price over there of what sold, half of which were less and half were more. Median price, $159,000. Okay? So if you have one $800,000 sale, you gotta have a lot of 80s over here to average back at $159,000. The high-end townhouse market at $700,000 and $800,000 and $900,000 is going, it's unrealistic. You cannot go. The market was insane when we used to think $379,000 was a lot, and then $479,000 was a lot, and then all of a sudden we're going to go from $479,000 in Montrose to $900,000 in 2 years. There were not enough buyers for those things. They would rather have a house. I'd still buy me a bungalow on West Pierce or West Bell or in Cherryhurst. I can buy a bungalow for $500,000, $600,000. You can buy a house for $600,000. You're gonna buy a $900,000 townhouse on 3 or 4 stories with a rooftop deck that's going to leak in year 3 with no yard, and your car can't even fit in the garage half the time. It was unrealistic, some of those deals.
What's going on with the rental?
Rental market, the single family housing, the people that need to have a dog, that market's still okay, but slightly longer than it was a year or 2 ago, okay? So if you used to put on a bungalow and there used to be 9 offers in the first week, still renting them fine, taking 2 or 3 weeks. A lot of the applicants are probably not the most desirable people on earth or whatever, so you have to weed through some of those or whatever. And the prices are about the same. I think, so.
There was a house on 16th Street across from yours, Norhill Realty. It was on the market for 90 days. It was a 2-bedroom, 2-bath.
What was
They
wrong
were
with it?
Here's-
Pricing it for
Because they were priced so
23.50?
freaking
Here's what's the
overpriced
problem
today.
is.
Yeah, but he took 22. He took
This is the
22.
message I need for you guys to hear when you're going on these listing appointments. If the price for whatever was of the comps were 250 and then 275 and 291, you cannot reasonably expect to think the next price is going to be 315. It isn't going to be 350.
I mean, that-
It's going to be
Yeah.
back over here at 280. And the market will dictate. I still think the smarter thing to do, instead of pushing the envelope again and saying, oh yeah, the comps are at 258 and 275 and 291, we ought to try 300. You ought to try 275 and hope that there's 9 offers and that you can take one that's back at 300. Because if you'll create an environment for the buyer to dictate the marketplace, then there are still numerous bidding wars going on in some of those things. But it is no fun to list an $800,000 townhouse at $215 a foot when the market's at $175 a foot and sit there and every day the seller's gonna say, what the hell are you doing for me today? What are you doing for me today? And you will spend all of your money and all of your time and all of your efforts trying to sell oil at $117 a barrel when it's trading at 51. And nobody else is buying oil at $117 a barrel. You know what they're paying? They want to pay 49. They do not want to pay 55 tomorrow because they're convinced in their mind that the inventory is not going to go down adjusted to the demand. Housing is in the same market over here, folks. Okay? They want a bungalow in Woodland Heights. They want a master down and some bedrooms up. I mean, they want a big yard, room for a pool. All of those sort of things, there's still not enough supply to equate the demand. 25-foot wide things with 3rd and 4th floor bonus rooms and balconies on the 4th floor overlooking downtown that are soon going to overlook an apartment complex anyway. Those things are going to be tough sales. They're going to be tough sales. And plenty of people that bought in 2014, the same way we talked about in 2008, 9, and 10. If you bought in 2007, you bought at a high, you're going to learn to sell at a loss. If you have to sell 8 or 10 months, and you bought it in 2013 and 14, it's not realistic to think that you're going to be able to find someone who's willing to get you out of your problem. It's just not really going to happen over here. So, I think the rental market still, I think duplex, townhouse, depends on where you are and what it's going to be. I think it's going to soften more. I think the 3-story townhouse rental market is going to soften. I think the rental market of houses with no yard are going to soften. I think people will have more choices. And I think some people aren't going to be able to sell their houses, so they're going to put them on the rental market, right? That's what they're going to be forced to do again, which will increase the amount of inventory, which will soften some of this deal. It's the taxes that get the people. And if you owned the same townhouse last year and you paid $279,000 for it in 2007, the dollar amount of the taxes, which is always going to be a couple of years behind, is going to shift up where it's going to cost you $300 a month more this year than it did last year. And you're going to want the rental to increase and cover your deal. Who wants to own a rental property and make $300 less in 2015 than they made in 2014? But they probably just need to get realistic that they're not going to be able to absorb that cost this year. You'll just have to see what happens. And remember on the property tax protest, I mean, everyone's going to want to go protest. They're literally a year behind over here at HCAD. So you reap some benefit when the market goes up and you didn't pay your fair share of taxes. Now there is hardly anywhere in the city, there's hardly anywhere in Harris County that didn't increase by 10%.
At least.
And there's just no
At
way.
least.
So if your property tax protest, value went from whatever up by 10%, which is basically what they did, then you're not going to win these battles. Now, if it rose by more than 10%, you can see if it, you have a fighting chance of fighting some of these things. If there was something irregular, you bought it $350 in the middle of the year, and now they've assessed you at $550 1 year later. You have a fighting chance of adjusting some of that. But I'm not even sure if you bought in March of 2014 for $350 that they're going to assess you at $350 for what was January 1 of the next year. I mean, the likelihood is that it did probably continue to rise before it decreased. So, I mean, you can visit with me. I mean, and I have plenty of people. Jared, he built a house, so he had nothing in the land, and I only spent $500,000 building this amazing house, and now they assessed him at 1.1 million. I assure you the house is worth 1.4 million. It doesn't matter what he paid for it. Jared,
Right.
if I sold it to you for $1, that did not create the value at $1, right? Just because you only spent 500, they don't know that you didn't sleep with the Viking appliance guy and get them for free. I mean, you don't know what you paid for something in that scenario when you go, it has nothing to do. So you can go and protest when it's never been, capped. They can adjust you up also, realize? And non-homestead property, this investment property, if you go and protest, it doesn't just go down, folks. It can go up, okay? Not your homestead. So, 90% of the people are really talking about their homestead and the valuation from one year to the next. So those, and if they, for some reason, jacked you up more than 10%, yes, maybe you can, try. Here, if you spent $25,000, they're going to jack you up $50,000 because they can. If you got a permit in that year, they can raise you the 10% plus the improvement that you have for HCAD. Yes.
If you have a homestead, they increased your taxes by the 10% that they can increase on your appraised value, but they increased the market value by more. Can you protest that, or should you just leave it alone?
You can try and protest it, but the market did go up by more than 10%.
Right.
You're not going to win.
You're hurting yourself, really, in a way.
Well, I don't know
because
that
it's
you're hurting yourself.
It doesn't hurt anything
Well,
if
it
you could
draws
try and get
attention,
some
I think.
adjustment, because that just, if your market value is at 500 and your assessed value is at 400, it just shows the next year they're going to raise you until you
But
match
that's
the
exactly
two.
what,
So-
what I've been telling them.
Yes.
In this particular case, the client is in Oak Forest, and they increased the home value more substantially than the land, which is not always the case, because land is really what's been going up in value quite a bit. But they increased the value of the land more substantially than I think is necessarily warranted in the area, because the lot values have kind of settled down, where they were getting $350 for lots that were zoned to Oak Forest. They're now settled in at about $335 or so.
Granted, I'll pay $350 for one though if you find one.
I know, I know.
In case you wonder,
I
you'll buy
understand,
one.
I understand. It depends on the particular lot and where it's
It's a hard battle
located and
to
various
find.
other things. But that was gonna be part of my argument to them, is that they've increased your overall value, your market value, and they definitely increased your land, whereas the land value is actually settled in on an average.
Yes.
Where you
Yes,
used to
it's
pay-
okay to fight the market value if it's.
I told them it's worth a
if
shot,
worth
do it online.
Yeah.
If you get something, that's great. You can decide, if you don't get it online, whether or not you wanna go anything, whether or not you wanna go any further.
Yeah,
Attorney
because
was
it's
asked-
cumulative. Every molecule that you carve off is one you don't have to carve off
Right.
next year.
Right,
you know?
because I said next year, they're gonna increase that market
Yeah,
value again if you don't
exactly.
try to go do something
Yeah,
about it.
the likelihood for the next year is that we're not gonna see the same 10% deal. I think there will be an argument that says in 2000, for January 1 of 2016, the increase is not gonna be as great overall for these appraised values, except where the disparity between the appraised value and the market value is more than 10%. They will jack you the 10%,
Right.
even though.
And that's why I told them that they could at least try to protest it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so a client was asking about, like you were saying, the value of the land versus the value of the house.
Mhm.
They're increasing the value of the house 10%, but they might be going up higher on the land value.
Correct.
The total appraised value cannot go up by more than 10% on your homestead unless you pull a permit for something.
Okay.
And this is recent construction. It's,
Was there another?
Oh, I
HCAD
was gonna
question?
say, if your clients come to you with the homestead, make sure you look and see what MLS has versus what they have. If there's like a bathroom that HCAD doesn't know
Yeah,
about,
yeah.
that hasn't been permitted, not that our clients ever do anything like that, but I mean, like, in the past, it's better sometimes to tell them just to go ahead and cancel their appointment.
Sometimes it is.
Right, that's
I'm
what I'm
telling
saying, they
you.
can hurt themselves
It can
if
get
they,
worse.
if they bring attention to something.
They're
that
very
should not.
smart at this stuff. When you go, I fight for people all the time. I will
Yes.
probably do 15 or 20. They will pull up the Google map.
Yes.
They knew when I had dirt delivered to Balin over there, when I was fighting over the construction value. They're pretty smart and sophisticated over here. They own their own drones. They know what's going on. So it's not like they can't tell the addition or something that, you do have to be careful.
I mean, I told my clients, your best advice is to go ahead and just cancel it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so first quarter, 2015, market was still strong in single-family housing. Will probably hold up, but will not push any envelope. Okay. If you're in the subdivided market, I suspect that the best locations and the best amenities are probably going to be fine, especially if you're in strong areas like the heart of the Heights. I don't think we're going to see great problems even south of 11th Street at Herkimer and Lawrence and the 900 block and 1000 block. You're going to be fine. Going to be fine. But I mean, you get too far up there. I have one of those Smith family homes. It's the same damn home that Sam has sold to 15 different builders, and so then Caroline Schlimmer has it for $700,000 in the 400 block of Arlington, and I've got it for $900,000 on 27th and Oxford. Can't imagine the 27th and Oxford is any more desirable than the 400 block of Portland. Probably less. I don't even know I can get that many people up to 27th Street. How can mine be worth $200,000 more? It isn't worth $200,000 more. I've got the lovely Smith family homes at Bourbon Court over here, which is off Fisher Street, which is off of Wakefield. And we do an analysis north of 610, anything subdivided, anything 3 stories high. The highest price in the history of mankind has been $191, okay? The average is really at about $148. There's 3 or 4 comps maybe at $158. He wants me to market them for $215. I didn't market them for $315, but I don't know. I mean, people are not that stupid.
All day long.
Okay, the realtor's not going to be that dumb, and the appraiser is never going to be that dumb. We got to be realistic that you're not going to get $215 a foot. Well, Fisher's at $215. I don't care if Fisher's at $248 again, right? It doesn't have anything to do with what they're marketing those
Right,
things.
nothing to do with on the
I
market.
think you got to be realistic.
It's gotta appraise.
And it's got to, we're not going to get that many cash buyers over here.
So they just won't listen?
I think I'm beating their, I think at some point reality's got to kick in over here, and we'll try 200, see if we can't get 191. That'd be the best you could get, right? I don't even think we're really going to get that. I'm not going to get anyone looking at 215.
Okay.
Are those figures, when these builders are trying to get those sign numbers, is that because they overpaid for the land?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so it's not as though they're just trying to add
Trying to get
profit.
their money
They
back.
screw themselves by
Yeah,
shifting the market up.
Uh-huh.
Yes,
Saying that the market's going, okay.
and the materials are more.
Sure.
The Kohler toilet, they couldn't give the damn thing away in 2008. Now you can't get one. You got to order it, and they'll ship it to you from Wisconsin in about 3 or 4 weeks. So it's supply and demand for the toilet, right? So the cost of the toilet is doubled. The cost of the framer is doubled. The cost of the paint has gone up, and of course the cost of the land has gone up, and the property taxes have gone up, right?
Right.
I understand why they want to get that number, but if they made X amount of profit in 2013 and 14, let's be realistic. They ain't gonna make that in 2015. The oil companies are gonna, okay, so we're gonna have dismal oil results come out this next week, right? We've lost $1.6 trillion of value of Exxon and Shell and Chevron. So the headline, that's what we lost, $1.6 trillion of value they have in their stock prices. So that's your 401k, and that's the people's retirement over here. So when they announce these results, it's going to be dismal. It's going to be dismal. They've lost billions of dollars will be the headline. Okay, when they lose billions of dollars, they have to do something with the stock price. So they're going to have to lay off some more people, right? So it's the downhill slope of what will be the image again. Underperforming assets, lower values, more layoffs. That'll be the next month headlines coming on. You watch it. It'll start tonight. That's what these results will start kicking out. So that will lead to, and so it's, these things they're cyclical. So we're going up and down over here. This headline was too positive. Okay, it wasn't. It needs
Most
to
of
be.
the time it's too,
It had to be negative before.
I know.
It's going to be negative before.
yeah, they're bipolar.
So it leads to, here's the stark reality again. I bought this company in 2008, and we averaged around $30 million in sales. In inventory. That's about what we averaged when we sold about $115, $120 million that year. We averaged about 30 million. We sold it pretty quickly. Sold them in 30 or 40 days. You replaced them all the time. That was the average thing. You needed a certain number of signs. Recession kicks in. We used to have 200 signs, all of a sudden you need 400 signs. You used to need flyers for 30 days, now you need flyers for 6 months, right? You used to need 1 flyer box, now you need 15 flyer box. You used to need 100 supers, now you need 200 supers, right?
Yeah.
I've been there,
Yeah.
did it in
Yeah.
2009, 10, 11, know exactly how it works. If you take the same company here now, last year, we had $57 million worth of listings and we averaged right around there. Now we average $97 million, okay? Boulevard Realty stands, I mean, we're going to have more inventory, right? We're gonna have more houses. They're gonna stay on the market a little bit longer. Gonna need a little more flyers. Gonna have more appointments. Gonna last longer. Gotta get feedback longer. It creates a certain amount of stress, okay?
But it also creates more opportunities.
There's more Boulevard Realty signs than ever. We didn't have any signs in 12 and 13 and 14 because the house is sold in 2 days. Now your signs stay out longer. Now your image grows. Now your inventory grows. But it does create a frustration, okay, which is the next topic that we're going to talk about. It does create frustration, and I get it. I have 1139 Rutland, and he's on my ass every day. What am I going to do today to sell his house? He lost his job. He's got to sell his house. If he has a job or doesn't have a job, it has nothing to do with what I can do to sell 1139 Rutland. But, I mean, it's not a factor of whether or not someone's going to buy it or not, right?
No.
It doesn't matter if he lives here, if he
No.
lives in Denver, it's not a factor. I understand that frustration, and I understand you have time on your hands, and now you're unemployed you to call me every day and email me every day and text me 15 times a day and text me at 9 o'clock at night on Friday night and Saturday night and Sunday night. I got them. There's shit I can do about your house on Saturday night at 9:34. There's just not much I can do about it. And if someone leaves the lights on and you text me about it at 9:34, I am not going to call Amanda Anhorn and chew her ass out because she left the light on at 1139 Rutland. There's no benefit to 1139 Rutland, and there's no benefit to Boulevard Realty, and there's really nothing for Amanda Anhorn to get from that. I get it. Same thing. So you can text me these things all day long. Creates a little stress, because then it creates stress for Eric, because that's my stress becomes Eric's stress, which creates stress, and I get it. I want us to just be able to deal with the frustration, and it's a frustrating time. There's more traffic in Houston, Texas. There's going to be more traffic in Houston, Texas. We're going to have fatigue. We're going to have frustration. When there's more people, you build more roads. When you build more roads, it creates more traffic, right? You redo Shepherd, now the damn thing's a nightmare. I mean, it's a nightmare to get from here to West U. I just hate it. If you can't go, I go at 10 or 3 or 9 o'clock at night. Don't even try and go at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, because it takes at least an hour and 15 minutes for me to get there. If I'm at the Kirby office at 5 o'clock and I try and get back to this side, it wouldn't matter if I went 610, it wouldn't matter if I went downtown, it wouldn't matter if I went to Kirby. It takes about an hour and 15 minutes now. You might as well drink over there. It's just one of those things, or shop, or preview houses, or just not even try and get here. But it creates, it's with your showings. Where you used to schedule 5 in an hour, you're only going to be able to schedule 3 in an hour. Remember, you're not going to be able to get there. I used to schedule meetings at 1, 2, 3, and 4 because I could do my meeting in about 10 or 15 minutes. I could get to the next one. I can't do that anymore. I have to be able to schedule the meeting for an hour and allow 30 minutes to get there. And whatever I'm meeting, I need 30 minutes to get there. You can have fewer meetings, but it takes me longer to get there. So when you have an open house and you're showing at 12 and at 1, and then your open house is at 2, you can't show up at 2:10 to the open house. You're not ready for the open house. You've got to find a way to get there at 1:30. And we've got to find a way when you get to the open house, you've got to know more about the open house. We've got to be more realistic about the use of our time and have less frustration. And the staff has more to do. There's more listings. There's more telephone calls. There's more flyers. You're having to print more flyers for a longer period of time. You're going to have to be respectful of their time and take into consideration that while we used to could do it maybe in 5 minutes, maybe it's going to take just a little bit longer. And we're going to have to be respectful of the people. So the number of staff, when you have $97 million versus $50 million, you need more people in order to do that. And I get it. We have 19 staff people on staff at the moment, okay? We had 5 when I bought the company in 2008, okay? Takes more people. We have to learn to communicate better with 19 people. It's harder to communicate with 19 than it is with 5, okay? And I get it, but I want to be this company that we have. I love our image, I love our ethics, I love our integrity, I love our marketing, I love our people, I love our buildings. I am more knowledgeable and more powerful to help you than ever before. Okay? This is it. But it's a learning curve of how we're going to have to deal with it or whatever. And so I'm trying to work with the staff that we communicate better amongst ourselves. And they tell me, I've created agents that are codependent and have this sense of immediacy that's probably an unrealistic expectation. And I just need to be clear that I'm communicating that we're here, the only reason these are receptionists and we don't need a marketing department if we don't have you. We don't need anyone to answer the phone if we don't have you. It's driven to the agents. You're independent contractors, and we have to drive our service to the agents. But you've got to take responsibility also so that we don't have this level of frustration. And we will respond as quickly as possible. But you've got to understand the constraint that we're in. I mean, we can do things better. You're going to have to help us do them the most efficient way possible, which is to give us a little more time. And you've got to take an assessment of where we are in the marketplace and deal with it accordingly. Can't show up to the office at 1 after 2 trying to get to your open house. It isn't going to work too well. You've got to plan and get to your open house earlier so that when there's a problem at the open house, we can deal with it easier. If the key doesn't work, or the AC is not on, or there was something going on, when we find out about it at 2:01, don't think my stomach just cringes every Sunday at 2 o'clock. Immediately people start bitching. They're at an open house and the agent's not there, the sign's not there, balloon's not there, key doesn't work, dog shit somewhere. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is. It's just, I just know that's going to be what it's going to be, and I get it. I get these same calls at 6 p.m. on Sunday when the people come home and the agent left the back door unlocked, or they didn't set the alarm, or their dog is out, or their cat is out, or their watch is missing, or whatever. Doesn't matter. I'm used to dealing with it. I'm kinder and gentler, and I start drinking about 5:01 to deal with them. But
But you're drinking a big bottle of wine now.
started drinking at 4 o'clock on this Sunday. Don't believe 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock was very stressful. I'm asking you to help us deal with some of this frustration. If there's certain things that we can do, we can do them better. But you're going to have to be realistic, and you're going to have to be more respectful to the staff. They're doing the very best they can. Screaming at someone, or yelling at someone at 2:01, or having an unrealistic demand at 1:59 is probably not the best way to get your stuff accomplished.
I know I talked to Eric. I think he would prefer that people ask for their flyers, a couple of days earlier
Yeah,
than
not,
Sunday morning.
we should not procrastinate. You gotta plan and think ahead for yourself.
I would hope, if you're doing an open house, that you guys will check the MLS beforehand. You should preview it the day before if you've never been there. I get, and I'm sending people across, I get it all the time. People go to my open houses and someone asks them how many bedrooms it is, and they don't even know how many bedrooms it is.
Oh my
You don't have a damn sheet in front of you? You didn't check it beforehand or whatever? It's really not that hard to figure out how many bedrooms the house is that if you're going to sit at the open house. And if you do,
That's crazy.
so one is kind of be prepared. You've got to maximize, if you're going to go do an open house, and I think every one of you should be sitting at an open house. Open houses are about planting seeds for the future. You may or may not sell this house today. You are putting yourself in front of prospective buyers. The average person that lists with me or lists with a firm probably started thinking about it 2 and 3 years ahead of time, and they go to these open houses and they want to know who is active in the neighborhood. I had a call yesterday. It was just someone who lived in Jay's neighborhood who wanted to talk to me about Jay, and they had done research on HAR about the number of people who had sold the houses over the last couple of years in her neighborhood. They didn't call for me to list. They just wanted a reference on Jay.
No kidding.
They did. They did. And they had just seen Jay at open houses. They had seen her postcards about her neighborhood or whatever, and they just wanted to talk to her about, they just wanted a little reference check with the broker, which is fine.
Yeah,
But
wow.
people do that all the time. I mean, they're coming to these open houses. They lie at open houses.
Oh, yeah.
They lie. They lie. But
They sign their
probably-
name weird.
Yeah, but they're probably,
They give me that email.
there's
address, they
something
never
about
show
it. Almost every time I get a buyer, if I get a buyer, you're gonna get the friends of the buyers. If you get a listing, you're gonna get either other people in that neighborhood who wanna know the value of their house, and they may listen. You gotta come across knowledgeable. You gotta be
Yes.
personable. You've gotta be engaging. You've gotta be the expert in real estate and that neighborhood and what's going on with that house, because they want the same confidence with their house or with their buyer. They may not buy that house, but they still wanna buy a house, so they wanna buy one from an agent who has expressed themselves knowledgeable. You've got to be more confident at these open houses, and maybe I'm not doing a good enough job of training you, but you've got to take, this is, our industry is geared to these open houses, okay? They're geared to these showings. If you're not engaging 3 hours, a certain number of weekends of your month to these open houses, you're not, this is your professional development for your career. It's great experience about, and you're just gonna get practice, how's the market? That's what they're gonna ask you. How's the market today? Because that's if they're buying or selling, that's what they want to know. Is it a good time for me to list, or is it a good time for me to buy, or should I wait? They want to know, what do you have to say? And they can go to some ditzy little blonde, market's great, 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 it's never better, it's always, and they can come over here to someone, oh my God, it's going to hell, I would never buy it. And they're gonna list with you, and they're not gonna buy with you. You know, or they can go to someone who says, look, we're seeing the pendulum shift from what was a seller's market to a buyer's market. We're going to see a correction in the marketplace, and the increases were not sustainable as they were in 13 and 14. But it can still be, the inner city has never been a better place to live. The schools have never been better. The restaurants are thriving. The quality of life is getting better, and I am convinced it's going to continue to get better. And while the real estate market had been overbuilt in certain markets, the long-range prospect for all of these areas is significantly great. You understand? I do believe that, even though I think the townhouse market overpaid for dirt. I think they built some shitty things. I think they built them in the wrong location, and they didn't take into account the number of people. The supply and demand is going to correct itself there. Okay? But in the long run, the quality, the price per square foot of that townhouse is still 1/10 of what it is in Brooklyn, or what it is in Milwaukee, or where it is in Venice Beach. You know, so someone coming who's paid $3,000 a foot is going to think $300 a foot, and they're not going to want a yard, and they're going to want those views, and they're going to want those properties. There's going to be someone for that. It's just today we're going to have more supply than we're going to have demand, but it'll correct itself in the long run. It's going to be fine, I think.
Okay, so I have a customer, in the last 30 days in Area 9, you know, Shady Acres, new construction cost is $199 a square foot. So the guy that bought a townhouse in 2005 asked me, what's the land selling for? I said, well, new construction's at $199. He goes, well, let's list our house at $199. I said,
But it's not
you
new.
can't, because you're competing against something
The
new.
10-year-old
that's
Lexus
fun.
is not going to get the same price as the brand new Lexus. Is
Right.
it? I mean, I'm a good salesman, but I'm not that good.
And I said $199, they're gonna give you $15,000 off, and then you can make an offer below list. So you're looking at $191 a square foot or whatever it is, but they're gonna take a offer on, you know, 10,000 under list and give you 15,000 to close.
Yes. The people will choose if they're comparably priced, they're going to take the new one.
Yeah.
They're just going to. You have to take if you have a resale 10 years old, you're going to have to sell the window coverings and the refrigerator and the landscaping and some of these upgrades that you wouldn't get necessarily
Right.
in new construction. And there's a way to sell those sort of things.
Right.
The kinks have been worked out on those sort of things.
Yeah, so I'm just telling them, I said, the way to compete with the new guy is make your house look like it's brand new, or take a lower price.
Aaron and I are going to kick out another little sheet, and it's going to talk about this balance again, and it's specifically used more so this time probably on this listing side, and it's going to say about as directly as I can say it, now is not the time to push the market. If you realistically want to sell your
Very
house,
good.
do not, now is not the time to push the market. It's just not. You're going to have to be a realistic seller about the pendulum shifting to the middle. Okay? Pendulum is going to keep shifting. we're not done yet.
I keep using that phrase, I like that, and when people ask, I just tell them we're shifting back to the middle, it's getting more normal. And people kind of like to know, and they wanna hear that, you know, extreme in any direction is not good.
I think the single-family housing market on a full lot in the middle of a neighborhood is doing just fine, okay? I don't see there's gonna be much correction there. There's plenty, not enough inventory, still rising population moving from the suburbs wanting to come in. I think we're fine. I think amazing houses are fine, okay? So it's not a perception of money. 1303 Cortland, 2.2 million, by far the single most expensive house to be put on the MLS. Multiple offers, absolutely no problem. Amazing land, 1039 Harvard. I don't even know what the damn thing was worth. We got $2.35 million cash offers from 10 different people who wanted to buy that tract of land because it's not in a historic district in the middle of the Heights. Plenty of cash. Plenty of buyers for this sort of thing. But there's not that many houses like 1303 Cortland. There's not many mastered out. I will list where Frank lives, 745 Oxford. It's one of the more amazing houses on a single family lot. Single family, it's gonna be the most expensive single family house that ever be put on the MLS in Area 9. It's only gonna be $1,895,000. We haven't been on the MLS and we've had multiple showings. I think it's gonna sell just fine. It's got an elevator, it's got a wine room underneath the house, larger than this room that we're in
But it's
now.
worthy of that.
It's brick, it's got a garage apartment, it's got a pool.
Which one is that?
It's the Blanchard House at
Oh,
the
yeah.
corner of 8th and Oxford.
Yeah, the one Sam, or,
Jeremy designed it.
oh,
Or,
Allegra built it.
Yeah.
So, that market's strong, because remember, DJ's house, we just raised the price again. I get 5 showings a
Oh,
week
on
of the thing.
Sunset?
We raised the price. We have 3 people begging to ride on it, and we won't even give them the specifications yet, because we keep changing things all the time. It's $2,279,000. It gets 2 showings a day. That market's fine. It's an oversized lot and a great block on Sunset. It's
I have
fine.
some friends who built 2 years ago. They moved in a year ago. Beautiful house in Southside. It'll be $3 million. Well, we just found out they're moving,
Mhm.
and I found them a lot they built, and then I also sold their house on Oberlin on my street to move into that one. So I find out they're moving. I call them, just to say congratulations and to kind of,
Yeah.
they already have 10 people interested. How do they haven't decided that they're gonna use a realtor yet. So how?
Because if they don't put it on the market and see what the market's willing to yield, you
I mean,
don't
I
have
told
this
her that
talking
this
say,
morning. I
you
did.
what if everyone says they
You
like a
could
number,
lose
but if you
money.
could have gotten
They could lose
100,000
money.
more or
I know.
200,000 more,
yeah.
and we could take the listing and exclude some of those people. It wouldn't bother me for you to get the chance of doing it. Or
Yeah.
if they have someone already in mind, you owe it to yourself to see what the market will yield today for amazing houses.
Right. And it.
Just saying, they're not the 15-year-old house, that backs to this and that is probably not in the same boat as that house right there. Single-family housing market is fine, okay? There has been appreciation, but you see what I'm saying? They're not all great houses, okay?
What about investment houses, like kind of by U of H, that area, or?
I think all those areas are fine again. I think the appreciation will be much less than it was in 2013 and 14 because there's fewer players at the moment when we've lost $1.6 trillion of value of oil companies and the stock portfolios are down or whatever. But yes, I think in the long run, they have to take a longer approach. I think the Lindell section, the near north side, the east side. What I like about the east side, I don't think I was ever clear. I'm not a huge fan of the Edo townhouse thing. I want single family houses in Edo. I don't want more Levitt homes or in-town homes or David Wheatley homes. I think that's shit over there. They needed a certain amount of population and infill, and so right by Dynamo Stadium, I think that's probably fine. But the subdivisions need to go just do what Lindell did and put in prevailing lot size so that they're all 5,000 square foot lots, and then you'll be fine there. You'll be fine there. And yes, I certainly think the area, or anywhere around this museum district, going that way to U of H and going to Texas Southern, I mean, this city is significantly undervalued in those areas. It's scary though for people. You have to have a large influx of people to go over there. No one wants to be the first person. But remember, 10 years ago, most of the houses in the Heights still had bars on the windows.
Yeah.
Okay, they still had asbestos siding and bars on the windows. If you just go to the east side, you see these chain link fences and the Doberman pinchers and all of that asbestos siding and window units and bars. It's exactly what Nor Hill looked like. It's exactly what Nor Hill looked like 20 years ago. Okay, 10 years ago it had cleaned up some over here, but I mean, it's still, these areas can transition fine. You just don't want them all to tear down the houses. And nobody wants to build a cute bungalow, remodel a bungalow, and then have 4 townhouses right beside them.
And
Diminishes the value.
actually, we should say that, all of Lindale has been now,
Yeah.
under the ordinance, that it's all prevailing lot size.
Yeah, minimum lot size of 5,000 now in Lindale, and
That's
shoot, it's
right.
the largest swath of land that the city's ever done it with, which required homeowners' participation to apply for it, but
Right.
But
yes,
aren't a lot of those lots more than 5,000
yes,
square
and you
feet?
can just subdivide the 10,000 into 5.
You could buy, yeah, okay, so
And-
you could do some subdivision, or you could buy 2 lots together and make each one 5,000.
Yes, you can. Yes, you
Okay.
can.
They're good.
Right.
So if you had 17,000, you still could subdivide into 3.
How far south does
It,
that
it
go?
comes not to wherever we just were on Goldenrod, wherever that was, but right above that. So it's this swath from 610.
Okay,
You mean north of Goldenrod?
Yeah, north of
Okay.
Goldenrod, this
Right.
little section right here.
so but it's not all the way to Hardy Yards yet?
No,
No.
no, it didn't go that far south.
Does it include Goldenrod?
No, it did not.
That's a separate,
They have their own deed restrictions, which might not allow subdivision.
they're
on there.
trying, they've got that, they're trying to get that in there.
Okay, a year ago, you said the mayor had 20,000 square feet, priced at $20,000 in one of the wards.
Her son, it was $7 a foot. We couldn't get $7 a foot.
Right, is it still for sale?
No, we couldn't get it. No, you can't. That 20,000 square feet with a house on it that's barely livable at $5 a foot is what? $20,000?
Yeah,
That's all it is.
yeah.
Couldn't get it. Tried to sell it for 45. There was absolutely no taker for that. I told them that.
Right.
You can't get it. Which is, if 45 is here and 59 is here from downtown, same distance, you go over here, the average price per square foot is probably $3 a foot. $3 a foot. We just need a bunch of people to go here. And if it goes from 3 to 10, those people make money, right? And then the next group sells at
Let's
15.
just go make that the Boulevard Yard, and every agent will buy one property.
Yes,
We just need to go buy a property.
And we'll just make it the Boulevard
But
neighborhood.
I got
Yeah.
2 today. One
Why
was
not? We can do this,
They're on
let's do
full.
it.
I got one today, 5,500 square foot lot with a house on this side. You know, needs work for 64,000. Man, Ginger would should buy that all day long.
We can do it, we can do it. Let's just
And
let's
just-
just see how we can manipulate the market over there. Let's do it.
Gonna struggle more with
That
appraisals.
would be fun.
And they're not gonna be pushing, they're
Not in the
smart in the
Monopoly.
appraisal world. You can't be pushing the limit over there. Okay,
One, just this quick survey, who's had trouble with it, who's had, properties not making appraisal within the last couple months?
I had one on 41st Street or whatever. We thought it was worth
430.
430. We took
440,
450.
442, I
Are we
think.
having
Well, that was at the
conversations
compromise
yet?
at the end.
Yeah.
No, we
took
ended up
4
taking 436.
We split the difference
We
of the
split the
appraisal. They bid 15,000 over what we
12
thought it
over.
was worth,
Yeah.
and we couldn't get an appraisal except over here. We split the difference. They had just bought it a year ago for 402.
Yeah, something like that, 412 or something.
The comps were really right where they bought it. We just pushed the market to
Oh,
430.
okay,
We
so-
had multiple offers.
Yeah.
We took 15 over or 12 over, and we settled back at 6, and everyone felt good
Anybody
about it.
else, is that
We
starting?
pushed the limit on several things. On Gillette, over on the east side, we pushed the limit. The comps said it was worth about $250. We had to add in $7,000 for closing costs. We ended up getting an appraisal for that. I didn't think it was going to work. That one worked. Several of our higher end deals have worked. I didn't think they were going to. Thought we were on the border. They managed to get it to work fine. On Willard, I had the first contract at $840. We got an appraisal for $840. The second buyer was cash, but wanted to get an appraisal. Their appraisal was at $775, even though we gave them the appraisal for $840.
Wow.
Couldn't get it above $775, and they terminated.
Oh, that's upsetting.
That's an incredible margin, huh?
That's
Pretty
a
big
major
difference.
difference.
Depends on what comps you use over there.
Are you worried about Cortland?
Yes, I am. The first appraiser that called said, bring your 5 comps of things. I said, there are no 5 comps. Do you understand the value of dirt and the heights? And he and I got in a huge fight on the phone. I told him he was going to have to use Cortland Place for a comp. He said he didn't know where that was. Could I give him the key map? And so, I said, it's right by where the mayor lives. You can use something on Westmoreland. And he said, I don't give a crap where the mayor lives. That's what he told me. I called the lender to cancel that guy. We did not let him show up at the house because that was not going to work or whatever. So we ordered 2 more. The first one's this afternoon, and we'll have another one tomorrow. Cortland is only going to work if you take this separate lot and say it's worth $450 or $500, and this house is worth 1.7 on a double lot. You can make that work if you back your way into it. If you don't think the value of this extra lot is worth $450 or $500, you are never going to get there. But yes, 1031 6.5, which is really probably worth about $675, but it's damn cute. I did it. We put on for $729. We have multiple offers. We have cash offers. We have offers over that, so that's a 3-2 bungalow on 6.5 Street. Very unassuming house, but it is very cute.
It is.
I'm not sure it's going to appraise, but we have cash offer there. But they can't sell that if this one doesn't appraise close. They have a couple of $100,000 extra, but they don't have $500,000. So if it appraised for 1.7 and they had to put 30% down and still come up with 500, it ain't going to work. So they can't sell 6.5 till we get past this appraisal issue over here. So we're telling the buyers of 1031 6.5 that the sellers need the unrestricted right to terminate. Okay? We're going to have the opposite of the buyer's option period. We got a seller's option period over here, which I've done twice before. It's not that easy, but it's only because I got to get past the appraisal over here. I got to have it appraised by 2 people, and it's got to meet underwriting twice because of the jumbo loan that it is. I expect a problem, yes. Whoever asked the kid question. Yeah, there are no comps for that house. There's no comps for it. You'd have to go to Cortland Place. They're not going to let us go to River Oaks. You might could go to Camp Lo. It'd be Cortland Place, which is a historic district with 20,000 square feet of land with 5,000 square foot houses. There are plenty of comps at 2.4 million. It's just, are you going to let us use those, 1 or 2 of those comps? You can take 1134 Balin, which was 1.7 million. On 6,500 square feet of land and adjust to the 19,800 square foot piece of land with a bigger house but not as new. You can use that comp and get there if you want, but that's only one comp. I mean, what else are we going to get to get to 2.2 million? It's
You're
going to be a
gonna have
problem.
to sell your house to make it.
Right.
Yeah, right.
While we're on this frustration, I mean, I'm a nice guy. I don't want to be an asshole. I mentioned this. I don't want to be an asshole, but we've got to quit it with I'm closing today. I need the disbursement now. I don't have all the forms. And we've got to quit it on the survey. I can't understand why we can't get this concept. Only choose number 2, okay? Don't check the box of 1 or 3. There's no scenario in our world that would allow for anything other than box number 2. Okay, so when they submit the offer, it's only in the seller's best interest. It's irresponsible for you to use a T47 over here and say there's no change, and then this guy come over here 2 years later and not agree with the line, and the survey company says, I don't have to defend that line. You know who has to defend it? The seller who sold 2 years ago that you represented. Now's the one that said the line's there. The survey company doesn't work for those new people. And so who are they going to sue? The guy you represented, your seller, because you let them use a T47, you know who they're going to sue is us. And they're going to say, Mr. Baldwin, did your people know that you left the seller hanging on a limb here for years after their sale because you let them say this is where the line was? Are you that irresponsible that you let your seller be responsible years after closing? Do you think we're going to win anything then? No. It's irresponsible. Do not let your seller do it. If you're the buyer, would you ever spend a dime on any property where you didn't have someone saying this is really where the line is? The mortgage company doesn't care. The title company just insured the legal description. The only one that's saying where the line is the surveyor, and the only one that the surveyor works for is who pays them. Do not check any box other than number 2. Do not check any box other than number 2. Do not submit any contracts with boxes other than number 2 checked. I don't want to be an asshole, but I'm just telling you, it's a serious issue in our world. It's pretty serious issue in our world. Only allow box number 2. Explain it to the sellers and explain it to the buyers, and you'll never have a problem. I'm happy to explain it to the other agents. We don't let our sellers choose any box other than 2. We don't let any buyer choose a box other than number 2.
Wait, maybe we can get marketing to put out some sort of flyer that we can give to both parties.
Aaron, can we try and make this as
Sure.
clear as possible?
Okay.
All right, and then if you would just turn in the forms as quickly as you can. And the easiest way to get the forms done is before the whole thing's executed. We mentioned it. I know Caroline Schlimmer's a bitch, but she didn't have to go searching for forms the day of closing. Don't submit your offer without these forms, because it is hard to go back and get the forms. But they just had another article. It's just like the seller's disclosure. I want to be clear how the law works. If I'm the seller and I send you a seller's disclosure and you say you give me an email that says you received it, it's the same as the signature. That's all you're saying with the seller's disclosure, is that you received it. I don't even have to have the buyer's signature on the seller's disclosure to prove that they received it. If they send me an email that they received it, if they check the little box that says they received it, and I don't need their signature. TREC doesn't need their signature, and the Fifth Court of Appeals does not need their signature. They've implied that they received it, and our obligation is just to give it to them, not to verify its contents or whatever. So if you can't get some of these forms, then we're going to do the next thing. You understand this property is in a historic district. Yes. An email, stick it in the file, is the same as information from other sources that it's in a historic district, right? Have them initial the MLS if it has historic district down there. There's other things we can get. If you just can't get the forms, if it's after the option period, we're struggling over here because, yes, our forms are designed to protect the seller, whoever we represent. And
Right.
yes, if you're at Martha Turner, I'm sure they're telling them these forms only protect the seller. Why would you want to sign them, Mr. Buyer? I get it why they're not going to do it after the deal, but as a condition of accepting the contract, the seller could require them to sign these documents. That's why you have to get them done earlier, not at the end. There is shit I can do about getting them signed the day before. I can ask for them, or I can try and document it otherwise. But the easiest way is to say, we accept the terms of this offer, provided you'll sign these disclosures. And then you're done. You don't know how many times we're selling the wrong legal description. Let me just go over the one I got right now. Ashton represented a client on my 2215 Columbia. MLS is right. Okay? We're selling lots 22 and 23 of block 146. He just writes the contract, block 22. They paid cash. They only get a legal of block 22. So they get a separate tax bill for block 23 with no homestead exemption, although the house is over the middle of both of these lots over here, and they want to get mad at us over here. I didn't create their legal description. Ashton did. I did it right on the MLS. You know, I'm not responsible for you. The attorney that prepared the documents, I didn't pick him. You don't work for me. My seller did everything they could right. If you people do it wrong, it's not my problem. They signed our forms that said, I don't know what the legal is. I just got it from some other place over here. I can't help it if your agent is incompetent or he didn't write it right. And we're protected just fine. But they only bought half a house. Okay? Happens all the time in our world. You don't know, we sold the wrong house twice last year. We sold the wrong house. Thought we were selling this one, and we really sold this one. And it's a damn problem when you're trying to fix these taxes for these people, because when they don't have the exact same value, usually they do when it's 25-foot wide things. But happens all the time. It's 763 transactions. As a percentage, it's not that great, but 7 or 8 people, still a lot of transactions when you're having to fix these taxes and these escrow accounts and these things. So there's a reason for the forms. We didn't just make them up. We
Let it
made them up to say,
auto-populate.
you only know what you know. The HCAT is wrong much of the time. We just put on there the best of our knowledge. That's why I want you to do the forms to the best of your ability. Try not to create this stress of, you have an option pick. Most of these companies make you turn this in way in advance. We don't even make you turn it in until after the option period. And then you're still waiting, 20 or 30 days, and we're getting it the day before. Come on, it's more stress than it's worth. And when got traffic, got a balance, got more negotiation than ever, Let's reduce the stress in our life if we can. Any other questions? I want you to understand this marketplace. Yes, ma'am?
Okay, I have two things. Parking in the office.
The
I
staff
wonder-
people are going, we have tried to rent, I think we're close to renting
Okay.
space over at the church across the
Oh,
way.
okay.
We're gonna direct the staff to park over there, which will free up some spaces.
Good, okay.
The construction on Yale should be finished soon,
Yes.
which would stop their construction people from
Yes.
parking in our deal. But
That would be
I
nice.
think if they go away and we have the receptionist and some of the people parking over there, then anyone else would be able to use the parking at the church also.
Okay.
We're making a donation to God over
That's
there.
good. Second thing, Eric tried to transfer a phone call to me the other day.
Uh-huh.
It did not ring up the person who was calling, and then it actually rang back to him. So I just wanted to know, are we resolving that issue? Are we, what's happening with that? Because I thought every time they transferred it, it was coming across as their cell phone number or whoever was being transferred.
That's the way it's happened for me.
That's
Yeah.
the first I've ever heard of it.
So
Yeah.
I just wanted to know, are we having an issue with that or?
It's the first I've heard of it, but I can check into it.
Okay,
It should always, the only thing, if they put them on hold and Chris calls you and Chris's number is showing up, you know,
it's
and
the
maybe
office
Chris.
number that showed up, and
That's what I'm
then,
saying, maybe they-
4-digit cell phone, whatever we have listed for you guys, and
Yeah.
you're just pressing the transfer.
Well, let's just practice once with her today and see how it works.
yeah.
I'll call
Because
her
if
and
you,
see it
if you
works
do
my
the
number.
4-digit thing, it should release the person to me, right?
Yeah,
Cause they went back to the office.
how can it get back to
I
the
don't
office?
know, that's what I want to know.
Okay, we'll check into it. We are getting new hardwired lines to increase the efficiency of the internet at the office.
Oh,
Yay.
And the phone.
Works
Yeah.
with the
Yay.
phone system.
Yeah.
I have,
Underground.
I have a listing coming up today in West U.
Alrighty, we love West U
Yay.
listings.
It's a good one. I mean, it needs work, but it's $8.99. It's in the chimney, so inside housing.
That market's still very strong, very, very strong.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
I have
Yeah.
some sellers and we are needing to move quickly. We are closing at the end of April, over on 25th Street. We have a 2-week lease back, which puts them to May 14th. We need short-term housing. Does anyone know of a good place to go to that they can take 2 dogs? They
I've
just
got
need-
Birdsall, but it's furnished.
What about
That
Oxford?
would be perfect.
I've got Birdsall,
What
620.
about Oxford?
That would be wonderful.
I've got 1811 Oxford.
Okay, that would be great. How much?
Oxford's 2,000 and Birdsall's 4,000.
Okay.
Wow.
That might be good for them because we have a house in Summerwood we're under contract on and they can't move in until June, the end of June.
Yeah, they'll
Perfect,
sell 90
that's
days.
perfect.
Okay, great.
Love a 90-day lease at
Yeah,
either one.
that's
Perfect. I will consult with them and see if they'd like to.
Yeah, no.
Is there?
Just a reminder, guys, if you actually do sign up for floor time, it would probably be a good idea for you to physically be in the office. And we do have walk-ins.
He's talking to me because I had a plumbing overflow this morning and I didn't
This is
show
actually not
up.
directed towards
We
anybody.
get
This is
plenty
just-
of walk-ins at this office. We get plenty
The
of
phone calls are
walk-ins.
one thing, but when we have walk-ins and we have somebody scheduled that they're not physically in the office due to not being there, they're late, they don't inform us, or they go to lunch, or whatnot, we like to know in the front office, therefore we can forward it to somebody else.
Alrighty.
Thanks, guys.
Alright, I understand the market?
Very reasonable.
Yes, Ms. Bennett?
I have, we're both raised right. I have events coming up that I want to tell people about.
Yep.
Okay, on 4/16, speaking of Westview, is the block party. This coming Thursday night at Westview, if anybody wants to be.
What time is that?
It's from 6 to 8. Where's,
At the Kirby office with
Yeah.
the whole block of people.
yeah, it's
We have
there.
alcohol?
Yes, of course.
Ooh,
And
You might go, right?
it happens the 3rd Thursday of every month. They have food truck out there and Boulevard provides beverages.
Perfect.
On the 23rd is the Heritage Society.
Oh yes, this is gonna be perfect.
Oh.
Yeah, this is the whole Heritage Society, those little houses and all those historic houses that are in the city park, walking distance from City Hall, and right there where Allen Parkway starts by Tranquility Park. We basically have the entire park from what time to what time?
6 to 8.
6 to 8 p.m. We were the sponsor of a cottage that was built in the 1880s that's moved over there, a working class cottage. And what we underwrote was the interior restoration, but they left open how the walls were built and how the windows were built and the door headers so that you can go and see the construction of how this works. in the 1880s or
Yeah.
whatever,
They also have some
1840s.
1840s, yeah. They also have some artifacts that they found when, under the house, in the attic. It's cool.
So they'll have some historians there, they're gonna have some of the tradespeople there, the whole grounds will be open, it's a wine and cheese event, people can bike over there. I think it's gonna be, because we have the whole park really for our clients, so.
Yes, we have it.
It's Thursday the 23rd.
And we have an invitation that the guys are gonna help me with because I can't seem to get it to go out on Monkey Chimp, or what is that? MailChimp. Not my circus, not my monkey.
Yeah, that's
It's on the 23rd. On the 30th at Bill's house, we are having an estate planning event that includes dinner, and people are going to talk about, experts are going to talk about long-term care, things like that, and Bill will speak that night about real estate assets, how that fits into your estate planning, something kind of different than we've done before.
What night of the week is that? Is that
That's
Saturday?
also a Thursday.
That's a Thursday night.
Yeah,
What time is
and
that?
there's a small charge for that. No, I think it's 6:30 to 9:30 actually, yeah.
That was gonna be my guess.
Yes, there's dinner. Hey, Bill has to go to bed.
Yeah.
There's
That's past his bedtime.
dinner and wine and some great information. There's a small cost of about, I think it's $30 a person, $25 for individuals, $20 for individuals, something like that. And then a little bit further out in May, we have a fundraiser for Richard.
When?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, I
who's-
forgot about that. What day is that?
May, I don't have the exact date, I couldn't remember.
No,
here.
May 19th.
May 19th, that's, the mayor and I are co-hosting a fundraiser for Richard Nguyen. He's a Vietnamese council member. It's the only existing council member the mayor is actually going to endorse for re-election. Richard is a nice guy. He was a city employee, he made $52,000 as a city employee and ran for council. Didn't realize when you run for council you can't work for the city anymore, so now he's $46,000 as a council member. But what he did, and he's a very shy guy, he's a very nice shy guy, and he represents predominantly the Vietnamese population, which is very conflicted amongst themselves or whatever.
Right.
With, and this isn't a reason necessarily, but I'm just going to tell you the story. When the Equal Rights Ordinance came up, it was very controversial. And even though Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, and 498 of 500 Fortune 500 companies have the exact same policy, I'm not sure what this fear of all these transgendered people accosting you in the bathroom. I've never had one accost me, and I might like it, and they won't even accost me. But there appears to be controversy there. But when it came time for the deal, he was conflicted as to how to vote. His population is diverse on this deal. And he sat there, and we have a little video, and he was talking to his daughter, who is in about 8 or whatever, and they were talking about fairness or whatever. And he goes, and his daughter couldn't understand why he wouldn't vote for this. And it's his 8-year-old daughter and the speech that they had together. And he gave this little speech at council when it was time to vote, which the vote was, 8 to 7 on how it worked basically. And he's really a nice guy, and he catches a lot of flack in his community because he supported equal rights for all people. I don't understand what's so hard about that in 2015, but he's a really nice guy. We're having a fundraiser. You don't have to pay any money if you don't want to. I just think he's a nice guy to come and visit. That's on the 19th.
And then even further out, June the 14th, which is Flag Day, we're having an art event at Bill's house, and you guys really might want to attend this, seriously. He's a young attorney who has quite a following of his young attorney friends, and he does abstract spray paint on canvas.
Everything is with no brushes, only spray paint, and they're very inexpensive. They're
Yeah.
$300 to $500 basically. It's,
Yeah.
not, it's a high-end
Yeah.
deal. They're very cool, and it's
Very
totally
cool.
abstract, very contemporary kind of art done with this spray paint.
Very
But
interesting.
he should attract a different crowd that we're not used to getting.
Yes, and a young crowd.
Where is
So
this?
this
That's
is
at my
at
house also.
Bill's house.
And do we know his name?
Eric Sandlin.
Thank you.
We'll have an invitation for all
Yeah,
these.
and just so it'll be stuck in your mind, 3 events on the next 3 Thursdays, and we'll send out information.
God. I did want to recognize Kenny and Mary Ann, who were the head docents this weekend for the Houston Heights Association home tour. They worked very hard, great exposure to Boulevard Royalty. I'm not sure they'll ever do it again. It's a lot of work to this, it's a lot of commitment, it's a lot of preparation, it's a lot of stress that day or whatever. I mean, we're looking for, I'm telling you, I made a career out of being a face involved with that association and the people that I met there. And I'm ready to step away from that and let other people take over those sort of things. And Kenny and Mary Ann are doing a great job of integrating themselves into this group. And I want to, I really, really appreciate it. Your builder came back over to mine and whatever, only had really good things to say. And he's bringing people from other areas to come see the type of architecture and the type of quality of work and good and bad things. And these home tours are a great way to meet people. It's a great, great way. So thank you for that.
And I thank you for letting us get involved. We really did meet a lot of good people, so.
Yeah, I think it's good.
And I got an email from the homeowner who was very appreciative as well.
And Andre had to play instead of realtor bitch, docent bitch for the weekend and did a fine job and got a great email from our homeowner today about him. Just what a fabulous representative of Boulevard Realty he was on my behalf. So thank you, Andre, for.
Can he graduate now?
No, it was 1 year of realtor bitch.
No.
Quite finished yet.
A couple more months.
Andre's having his first closing very soon. He's got his first client. All this deal. Now his option period, appraisal, his first deal, getting homeowners insurance. When's that closing?
Not soon enough.
24th. There you go. First closing.
Right, drinks a lot.
Wasn't easy. All right. Thank you very much for coming. I appreciate it very much.
So what's it, what is